Frank, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to Edinburgh.
Thank you.
It must feel like coming home a little bit.
I do love it, I have to say. I got into my flat, my temporary accommodation for the next few weeks, and I walked about a mile, and I kept seeing things and thinking, oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. And oh, I love that, and that's beautiful. I know it's tempting for Englishmen to come to Scotland and say, what a beautiful place you have, but Edinburgh, I just think is a really special place.
It really is, isn't it? It's sort of like walking onto a film set in the
It's
Victorian
fantastic,
ages.
yeah.
It's been 4 years since you've been here.
Yeah, I was here with a play last year, but I wasn't in it. I was just sitting at the back making notes because I'd written it. But yeah, I haven't done stand-up for a while here, so that's what I'm probably best at.
Yeah. What made you decide to come back then this year?
Well, interestingly, we sort of, me and my manager sat and we planned the London run, and then we planned the big national tour. And I said, I want to do the Edinburgh Festival. He said, well, there's no need to do the Edinburgh Festival. I said, I know there's no need, but I really want to do it. So I'm here because I just like that thing of going to the local supermarket and you meet 3 comedians in there and stuff like that, and then you go and see Moby Dick, the one-man play, and then you go and do your show. You know, there's nothing else quite like it.
Yeah, and you must be nice catching up with friends when you're back
Yeah,
here too.
it's good because I don't have many what I would call friends, but comedy friends, yeah, there's a few of those.
The Fringe really sort of launched your career, I guess.
Totally.
Is it true that you spent £400 of your last, was it 435 on a room at the Fringe back in the 80s?
Yeah, it was my life savings. I was in Edinburgh at the Fringe in '87 in a play where I played a hard-bitten Cockney copper. Can you believe it? And while I was up here, I went to see what was then called alternative comedy. I'd never seen any before. And within 5 minutes, I was in this, it was called the 12-12 Cabaret, because it started at 12 minutes past midnight. Oh. And I sat in this room on my own. I mean, there was other audience, but I hadn't gone with anyone. And within 10 minutes, I thought, this is definitely what I want to do. It was a real moment. Yeah. So that was a big thing in Edinburgh. And then the following year, I did a one-man show. I'd only been doing comedy for 8 months, which was crazy, which was basically rubbish, but I had some good bits. And then 4 years later, I won the Perrier, which in those days was, it was like winning an Oscar or something.
You beat off Jack Dee, Eddie Izzard for that, didn't you?
Yeah, and what would happen then is you'd win the Perrier and you'd go to a party where they celebrate it, and there'd be people from all the big channels coming over and saying, come and do a series with us.
That's
I mean, it was a real life change.
Yeah, I bet. Does that then make it harder or easier to come back then?
Well, I come back now, you know, I mean, I don't need the money.
Lucky you.
No, I don't know if people come to Edinburgh to make money. I mean, it is a boulevard of broken dreams, Edinburgh. You know, you see, you do bump into comedians who are having a great time, and you bump into ones who are putting their head in the frozen peas section because life is so awful. Happily, I'm already sold out. I was sold out when I got before I got on the train. So I don't have to worry about that this year. Great. So I'm not on here to plug, I'm on here to gloat.
You're not doing much of that, don't worry. Your show is called Showbiz, and while we're speaking about being showbiz, just how showbiz do you think you are?
I am fundamentally very on showbiz. In fact, a friend of mine criticised me for not having taken full advantage of my showbiz credentials. I've not gone to enough fancy restaurants.
Haven't you?
And stuff like that.
Do you not enjoy a fancy restaurant?
I like a fancy. When I first got, I'm going to use the F word, famous. I went to everything.
Yeah.
I mean
why
everything,
not?
And I was always free gatto. This is the life. And I really, I don't drink, so I didn't live up that side of it. But it was brilliant. And after about, I suppose, 4 or 5 years of that, one day I was cradling a glass of warm Vimto and talking to Tricky Dicky from EastEnders at a premiere. And I thought, you know what, maybe I've had enough of this. But I still go to the odd thing, but I went crazy in the early days.
Yeah. And do you think that be, now that you don't drink anymore, you don't smoke, it made me the party man. You were once voted sort of party man of the year, weren't you?
Party animal of the year, that's unbelievable.
So there's a different Frank Skinner that we're getting nowadays.
Yeah, I mean now, you know, I've got a child.
Yeah.
My knees aren't up to it as much as anything else.
Any vices though these days then to replace them?
I don't think I have. I don't think I do. Extra strong mints I eat a lot of.
Oh no, they kind of hurt my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, well, someone said you want to be careful because that if they discover that there's some terrible side effect, you eat more than anyone else in Britain, you're going to be the one for maximum impact. But so far, so good.
Well, if you're doing
But
well.
as vices go,
Vices
as well,
go, no.
no one's going to take you to a corner, are they, in some bar and say, do you need some extra strong?
And a Vimto.
Yeah. Now my Vimto days are behind. Does it still exist, Vimto?
I don't know if it
That's
does. It's probably got
that's-
too much sugar.
That's a question for your. That's this week's competition.
Yeah, that's it.
question.
Win a lifetime supply of Vimto. You mentioned your lovely son, Buzz.
Yes,
So he's 7 now.
he is 7.
And is
yeah.
he coming to Edinburgh then?
He is. He's coming up later on when I've settled. I'm a bit like breakfast cereal. I take about a week to get halfway down
Settle
the
in.
box and fully settle. Yeah, he's going to come up, and
Oh.
I brought him up when he was about 2, and it was a bit of a mistake. I think he was a bit too young for it. I had an image of me as one of those hippie families when he'd be sort of naked on my shoulder and we'd be walking through mud somewhere. It didn't really work out. But now, I just think walking round Edinburgh
yeah.
is like going to the most brilliant show you've
It
ever
is.
seen.
And there's lots of shows for him to see as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and I'm going to be listening out for the word on the street on the best kids shows.
Does he keep you on your toes? Has he got your funny bones?
You know what? He's the only person on the planet who I'm prepared to say is funnier than me.
Wow.
He really, really makes me laugh. It's brilliant. He's definitely going to be a stand-up comedian.
Are you going to make him do that?
When you're a little old lady, you'll be sitting here interviewing my son about his sold-out show in Edinburgh. I predict that.
So you would encourage him to go into comedy then?
Oh, definitely. Oh, it's the best job ever.
With a name like Buzz, I mean, he's made it already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the first 10 minutes will just be about that.
Where did the name come from?
Well, I named him after Buzz Aldrin, who was the second man on the moon, because I thought naming him after Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, was setting the bar a bit too high.
Yeah, Neil's a bit of a boring name. isn't
Yeah, and if there's any Neils listening, can I say I think it's a brilliant name? I think second is a good thing to have in your mind, not to be constantly pushed to be the top dog. But also, I was a child of the space race,
it? Yes, you are.
So I stayed up to watch the moon landing, and then my parents let me fall asleep just before they came out, and I woke up just after they'd gone back into the lunar module and missed the whole thing.
Wow. And
One
your
of the
name
great
isn't
regrets.
even Frank, so that's quite showbiz that you've got a stage name.
Well, when I started out, I was called Christopher Collins. That's what my birth name is.
Yeah.
But there was already a Christopher Collins in the Equity Union, and you can't have two people with the same name in case someone accidentally gets paid.
But where's he
someone
now,
else.
Christopher Collins?
Apparently, I think he was a pub singer in Burnley. They interviewed him in the Daily Mirror or something, saying, what do you think about? And of course he said, "Oh, I wish I'd got his money," and that was about it. But he seemed all right.
So where did Frank come from?
My dad, we're a very sporting family, and my dad captained the Dominoes team.
Dominoes,
local
that athletic sport. that it
Exactly.
is.
And I used to watch him with these bits of paper putting the team together. And one of them was called Frank Skinner. And I
Wow.
said to him, that's a brilliant name. I really like that name. I don't know why. And
That's worked.
so I chose that name. And when he died, that guy, his family sent me a picture of his tombstone with "Here lies Frank Skinner" on it, which looks good on the corkboard.
A little bit creepy. It must be hard though being away from your family when
Yes.
you're touring.
It is. When I think about the things I used to do in hotel rooms on tour, and now what I do in hotel rooms is basically sit with my phone and look at about 100 pictures of my child.
Oh, you're that guy.
Times really have changed, yeah. But I'm good with it. I think I've always been a 62-year-old man. I just finally grew into it.
You're looking good for 62 though.
Thank you very much.
What are your secrets?
Don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs. They're not really
easy.
secrets.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know that, but they just can't resist it. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is.
Do you enjoy exercising?
No.
Eating well?
Does anyone enjoy exercise?
I don't know.
No, that's,
I don't
people
know.
say that. Like people say they enjoy hot weather, but they don't really. They're just trying to sound all, like they're really cool.
No, I certainly don't.
No, exactly.
Speaking of exercising, though, we obviously are in Scotland, so we have to talk about football.
Yes.
You wrote one of the biggest football anthems ever, Three
Yes.
Lines at the
Well,
Tartan Army, Love to Hate.
Yes. And when I only come up here to apologise for
Yeah.
writing that
We're going
song.
to have to get used to it again, though, for next year, I would have thought, for the Euro.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was astonished at what happened last summer when it got back to number one, because we hadn't even re-released it or anything. It just was, it basically happened through social media. We played no part in it. So that was great. That was like a sort of ghost song that came from nowhere and went back to number one. And I got 2 frame certificates from the Guinness Book of Records.
Wow.
And one of them said the first song to be number one 4 times. And the other one said the biggest drop from number one in the history of the British pop charts, when it dropped 96 places in 1 week.
That one's not gone up on the mantelpiece, though.
No, I think that is Showbiz summed up those 2 certificates.
Next to your photo of the tombstone.
Exactly, highs and lows.
You're certainly diversified. You're TV, radio, comedian. You're now doing a podcast, one of the UK's most popular podcasts. Is this something you're enjoying?
Well, I tell you what, I think of myself as a stand-up comedian who gets phone calls. And those phone calls say things like, would you like to be in a play? Would you like to write a TV show and stuff like that? And I do those. But if you imagined me as a spider, the body is the stand-up, and those things are all those little thin legs that might be snapped off by a cruel child at some point. But hopefully the stand-up will stay.
So stand-up's your first love?
Yeah, I think that's the well that I keep returning to.
So Showbiz starts tonight.
It does.
And it's playing the whole month here in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And then where are you off to?
And then I am touring everywhere, basically. I come back to Edinburgh, in fact, at like a big posh theatre. And then that's it for the rest of the year. It's stand-up all the way.
And what's Showbiz about? Tell us.
It's about jokes. I know the idea nowadays.
No way.
well, they're not all nowadays, I find, comedy shows. I think I'm not a man who comes on and has this big message that I have to get across. It's just me talking about funny stuff that's happened to me and funny stuff I've thought about. And it is laughter-based.
Yes. And no sign of slowing down then? What's next?
No, at the moment, I'm just going to keep going and keep doing stand-up and seeing what other spider legs twitch.
Ooh. Well, I look forward to it. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
Good luck
you.
with Showbiz.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And enjoy the festival.
I will do. Thanks.